On today's show, a local international dance artist with us to talk about one of the city's art gems. And later, I'll take you on a visit with me to see a contemporary ballet dance class right here in our neighborhood. Let's go. Hello and welcome you watching The Ledge. I'm your host, Lola Acala. So glad that you could join us in another episode. I am so excited about this one. One of my favorite things about arts and culture, it's ballet in the city. You won't find a more bold, innovative, and distinctive style of production when talking contemporary ballet, and this is what Ballet BC contributes to the development of dance in Canada. And at the top of the helm of its creative process is critically acclaimed international dance artist, choreographer, and its artistic director, it's Emily Molnar. Hello.
Hi Lola, it's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to meet you. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic now that I'm here.
Indeed, absolutely. So, like I said, Ballet BC has been around for quite a while, like since the mid-'80s in Vancouver, and what an absolute gem for all art lovers in the city in the way that it promotes artistic endeavors and brings in a wealth of, creative people into the city. Tell us about Ballet BC and the work that you do.
Well, first of all, thank you for your generous comments. We're almost 30 years old. We'll be turning 30 this season coming up, so we're very, very excited about that. And we have always been a contemporary ballet company at our heart. So in the 80s, we kind of thought, we need a professional company here that's going to be based in Vancouver, that will really kind of set the demographic of dance across the country. And we've always been about new work. So we've always been this kind of intimate company that can attract choreographers that are trying to create new ideas around dance with a ballet background. And so over 30 years, we've just been doing it, and we've been trying to refine it. And over the past 6 years, I've had the pleasure of being the artistic director, but prior to that, I also got to dance with the company. So I've been watching the company for years.
Indeed, I was going to say, you are a bit of a big deal in the industry yourself, because you've had quite a wide, extensive range of career, because you've been around, toured with a lot of, international companies throughout Asia, Europe, and tell us about your educational background and how it's all led to this.
Well, it's, I think we are all, although dance is a very small community within a very large world, but I started dancing when I was about 4 or 5, found creative movement, then found ballet when I was 6, 7, bought a pair of pointe shoes, left home when I was 10 from Regina, Saskatchewan to go to the National Ballet School.
Cool.
And then I joined the National Ballet of Canada when I was 16, and then danced with that beautiful company, and then had the pleasure of working with one of the great kind of choreographers of the 20th century, William Forsythe, at Frankfurt Ballet.
Indeed, he is a very big deal in the industry.
He is a big deal in the industry, and that completely changed my perspective, not just on dance. I mean, the beautiful thing about it, Lola, and I'm sure you probably feel it about your profession, I think when we love something, it creates meaning for us. And I learn about the world, I learn about myself by doing what I do, and I get to work with artists every day who are questioning why we're here, how we do it, and how we can make the world a better place. So that's what I've been doing, and then I've been able to dance across and choreograph with many companies. So I've had a very beautiful career.
Now you are, primarily a contemporary ballet dancer, but as opposed to a classical ballet. Now, is that what makes it more desirable for you in the way that it allows you to sort of give you the freedom to carve out what's inside of you, as opposed to the rigid codified language of the classical ballet?
Well, classical ballet, again, that was my first attraction, was that science of building a technique. Then everything we do at Ballet BC, and many dancers today, could not speak the way they do with dance if they didn't have a very strong foundation of technique. So it's like a great jazz musician. You need that. But I think at a very early age I went, okay, so here I can spend years just studying this, but what if I want to slightly alter that myself? Then what would I do? So I think it's a technique that needs to be there, but then there's this freedom to invent it in new ways. And that's kind of the pleasure of what we do at Ballet BC, is that there's a group of dancers who are very, you don't step into the company unless you have at least 10 or 12 years of training. And then you go, okay, now what would I do if I have this idea of that's put forward towards me? How can I create movement and invention? How can I branch out? But you're not just doing it from a place that doesn't have a very strong technical foundation, because that's basically, it's like a writer. That's your vocabulary, that's your grammar.
You have to have elements of that codified language in some form.
As long as it doesn't hold you back, it should be there to actually free you.
Give you the freedom.
To give you the freedom.
Now,
ideally.
Indeed, very much so. Now, you guys, during your open seasons now, you guys have such a great audience engagement. I mean, it's huge in the city. I mean, you guys see about 25,000 people walk through the doors.
Yes.
And I have no doubt it has a lot to do, down to you, and the pedagogy of your work as artistic director and maybe some of the, residencies that you bring in. Tell us about your work and what it entails to put, a whole season together, basically.
Well, it is, it's a lovely thing to be able to program because, first of all, like you mentioned, we have a phenomenal audience. So when you walk into the Queen Elizabeth Theatre, which is one of the largest theatres in Canada, we have, 10-year-olds to 90-year-olds in our audience. So just that spectrum of age and experience. And we have so many people, Lola, that come not because they want to be entertained, but they also want to ask questions. And I think you can do both. I think great art kind of does all of it. It creates an experience. And where else in our world can we sit with a group of people for a moment and not be worrying about doing something else? Just actually that moment just is the only moment that we'll share, and it's not documented. So I think about the audience first. I think about trying to welcome people, because we're going to have people who know a lot about dance and people who know nothing about dance. And so how do we put those two groups,
merge those things together?
And how, because a lot of people are like, well, what exactly is dance, and why dance? And so, but then I also am very curious about making sure that we're having a global conversation. So I think the best way to get to know better who you are locally is by also opening it up.
The residencies that come in and the collaborations.
The collaboration. So we have
incredible in itself.
And it's a really interesting conversation because then you get many different points of view, but you also see how a lot of people are kind of tackling similar questions in, whether they're coming from Germany or Sweden or Italy or China or Africa. There's some, because we're talking about being human. We're talking about big questions that we all encounter. And so that's the beautiful thing, and also about dance, is that it can kind of surpass a logical kind of framework and get to some more deep-seated experiences. And so that's our job, to make sure that we're having a conversation and we keep challenging ourselves.
Express that too.
Yes. And that we can actually share it with our audience. So
there's no doubt that you do such a great work that has seen you win numerous awards over the years. I mean just recently you were part of the YMCA Achievements Award, and you also won the BC Community Achievement Awards.
Just recently as well, yes.
Do those awards help to somehow validate the work that you do? And tell us about those awards.
I think it's a really interesting question, because I think I've all of my decisions in my life have come from my heart first. So I think I've always admired people who are very good at what they do, and success and what is success to an individual. Getting those awards means a great deal because they are also very community based. It means that I've been able to at least affect or make a difference or make someone's life, even if it's one person.
To even recognize the hard work. It's so important.
But that's not the reason I do it, but it's certainly, it motivates me to continue to do what I'm doing. And I am so grateful, because there are so many people who deserve those awards, not just myself. So it's just...
I love, what I also love is about you guys, the sentiments of Ballet BC, and the way that you say that, contemporary ballet is the ballet of today. And especially when we compare it to, some might say the antiquated, nature of the classical ballet subculture, which some will argue still tends to be a little bit, not inclusive enough, and tends to, maybe, contribute to forms of, some might say, cultural, racial elitism, and there are those two dichotomies, if you want to call it that, because one is very much inclusive and the other isn't. Talk about those dichotomies in terms of that.
It's funny, because I think you bring up it's something that we're very, very interested in having a conversation about, which is that these are not just beautiful bodies in space, and it's, but that has to do with how we show up. If we show up and it's actually about a much bigger, it's about human potential, it's about a conversation with individuals who could be of any gender, any race, any culture.
Very much so.
That's when you get to a universal level of art making.
So. And that's what contemporary ballet does.
Yes, it can, but anybody can approach something from the outside in. And our approach is that you start inwards first, and by doing that, we connect with people, because it doesn't mean that when you go to the theater, you're not going to be able to see beautiful. When someone has that kind of training and that exquisite ability to dance, it is a beautiful thing. But what is beauty? It's also watching things become raw, things become challenging. I mean, the last piece we did in Rite of Spring, I had audience members say to me, I didn't even realize I was watching dance. And I had some people say, you challenged me so much, I actually hated that. And that is so great.
That's so cool.
Because that means we're actually,
We're
moving something,
Yeah.
right? And we have people in the company that are of, of all different races and cultures and sexualities. It's just, that's the world.
Which is so very cool and really is, part of what my next story is all about. I'm going to take you to see a contemporary dance teacher who's doing such incredible things with both trained and untrained dancers in the city. But we're going to take a quick short break and we'll be right back.
We are kids. Wish kids.
10,000 kids.
We are brave.
We are strong.
We are fighters. Some days are good. Some days are bad. Some of us make it.
Some of us don't.
My wish will make me strong.
The Children's Wish Foundation of Canada.
Does a wish make a difference?
You bet. You bet.
Imagine the difference a wish can make.
Only 2 more needles till my wish.
Please give today.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're watching The Ledge, and today we're talking ballet in the city. And with me today, Ballet BC Director Emily Molnar. But before we carry on, I'm going to take you on a short visit with me to see a contemporary dance teacher who's doing incredible things with untrained and trained students in the city. Let's take a look. I'm here at the Scotiabank Dance Center to visit an incredible contemporary ballet dance instructor, Lola Acala. It's going to be fantastic, and I know you're going to love it, so let's go check it out. And so with me here is the wonderful contemporary dance instructor, Lola Arkelian. Hello.
Hello, Lola.
How are you?
Fabulous.
Such a wonderful day, and thanks so much for having us. This is so beautiful.
Oh, the sun is permeating the studio, and I think it's shining on my dancers.
Perfect day for it. Now, I gotta ask you, now ballet is such a technical form of dance. Now, how long does it take a ballet dancer to perfect their craft?
Well, ultimately, one is in perpetual pursuit of, I wouldn't say perfection, but it is an ongoing pursuit that you never really achieve your aspiration. I think as soon as a dancer moves from young training into maybe professional work, you continue to work your instrument, which is your body. So it's like an athletic sport, but it's a never-ending pursuit.
Indeed.
And
So
which makes it so
beautiful.
incredible because the passion's driving you to constantly
To keep getting better.
increasing your performance. And
So beautiful. Now, tell me about your ballet history. Like, how did you come to fall in love with the art?
I don't know. I'm actually just generally an arts lover. I'm very, very interested in visual art and theater and dance as well. So I sort of move all my career in all directions, and I think it has definitely influenced my teaching dance. Is that
evolved in
evolved
its own way.
and great
Now,
passion.
We all know that there are different variations of ballet depending on the culture that you're in or where it's
Yes.
coming from. We've got the Russian ballet, the Italian ballet, we've got the English form as well. Like, what variation do you particularly like to, go into, and which one do you teach?
Well, I was actually trained in what's called the Shiketi technique.
Oh, wow.
And then when I was with the Royal Winnipeg Ballet Company, they perform mostly, their technique is Vaganova, which is a Russian technique. And since then, I have been working involved, I was saying, in theater and visual art as well. So my dancing has actually been highly influenced by contemporary dance and theater as well. So I try to integrate, when I teach, the whole sense of drawing from your breath, so that it becomes a very expressive art form and not just an athletic performance of grandeur, like, oh, here's wham, bam, all these tricks that we can do. It's just where it's coming from the soul.
So beautiful. Now, you teach quite a bit around town. You also are a contemporary teacher. You teach at SFU.
Yes.
Now, what kind of, because there are different age groups of people that you teach. You teach both professionals and you teach non-professionals as well. So what are the age ranges of those who come to your class to learn ballet?
I guess I would say for the dancers that are not professional dancers, because I've had professional dancers and directors and choreographers dance with me, but those who come generally in my drop-in classes would be an adult level from, I guess, mid-20s to 30s. Some are actually older than myself. I'm not going to review what that age is, but there's quite a range of ages and also levels, and I try to welcome and invite people.
Indeed.
In terms of, sometimes it's they're coming back with a different purpose. Some people are coming
some as a hobby, and some
Exactly,
they're trying
some to
as a
refine their-
body alignment exercise, as we mentioned earlier on the opening. I think you do a fabulous job, and it's just so wonderful that we're here with you today. Now,
Thanks.
the beautiful music playing in the background.
I think this really helps all of my dancers and myself attach to the emotions and the soul of it, is that we have an incredible, gifted accompanist who is also a composer, and so I'm used to using CDs to play for my dancers to perform with. We are very luxuriated in that Gill is a dear friend and artistic colleague of mine, has welcomed us to come and play as a guest pianist live, because it really does affect the dancer when they're hearing a live artist playing.
It's such a beautiful, cohesive
It's
thing when
incredible.
it comes together very beautifully.
I think it helps people attach to their emotions when they have an actual artist that's emoting right there. I tell them to just breathe with every nuance and essence and follow.
It's so beautiful, I gotta tell you. Thank you so much. From Adolphe to Gershwin to Tchaikovsky and all of those other beautiful music ballet composers, they have been in a class of their own and a style of their own, and they've gone on to inspire so many over the years. And with us today, a wonderful ballet composer, Gill. Hello.
Hi, Lola. It's good to meet you.
It's incredible to meet you. What
It's
a
interesting
wonderful...
to hear you say all those composers. But I was also really inspired by some wonderful pianists in the early 80s when I started playing. I can think of people like Laurie Anderson, Meredith Monk, Michael Nyman, Philip Glass, and you know, I really wanted to bring an influence from them into the ballet studio, because people loved that sort of.
Well, you do such a fantastic job. Like, how long have you been a ballet composer for?
Well, I started composing around 1980 when I was thrust into this position of being accompanist for New Zealand's top modern dance company. And I knew nothing. I only knew my classical music. I went to the music store to try and find music books on how to accompany modern dance. They don't exist because you have to play, you know, 12 counts of this and 16 and you know, 5 of this and 7 and 9 and all. You had to sort of make it up. Yeah.
We've had such a wonderful afternoon here, and the music that you played, is it something that you wrote yourself?
Yes, everything. I've got now 108 pieces of music on iTunes. And my first CD came out in 2005 after I'd been working with Lola Acala for a little bit. We were such great friends.
An amazing
She
class.
is. She inspires me. Her biggest talent is that she inspires me to keep composing and also to actually record my music and put it out.
Such a great idea.
know,
Now, I
so-
know a little tidbit of a history with you now.
Yes.
You used to play for one of my favorite bands, Crowded House.
Crowded House.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I toured with them around Australia in 1986, which was wonderful. And I was an accompanist at the top school for arts in Australia at the time. I heard this little ad on the radio. Crowded House is looking for a keyboardist. I called up Neil Finn called me that night, and he says, "Oh, so you're a fellow Kiwi?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, come down and have a jam." So I jammed with the guys, and I was the 13th keyboardist to show up, and I was the first girl. And then they said, "But you've got a job, you know, playing." So I said I had to
cool.
leave my job. They said, "Can you learn our stuff off the CD because Don't Dream It's Over then had gone huge in America, and they didn't have a keyboardist for it because the guy that added all the keyboard parts, Mitchell Froome, he was a recording engineer and producer in LA, so he wasn't with them on this tour. So I learned all of it. Don't Dream It's Over. Yes, and Neil Finn is such an inspiration, and he was wonderful to get to know.
We absolutely love everything that you've done here today. Now,
Well,
I
thank
hear
you.
you also, you are a ballet composer.
Yes, I am.
Accompanist for SFU.
SFU, Ballet BC. I play for Ballet BC and SFU and Arts Umbrella and many different ones.
So fun.
The 3 CDs that I have made. This
So
one
cool.
was after 25 years of playing for ballet. I made that one. And then this one came in 2011. And this is the most recent one.
Wow.
And these
ballet
are all played,
inspired.
used by the Royal Ballet in London. The ballet master there is
Indeed.
he loves this music, and he has it in his
Well,
satchel every day.
What can I
So
say
I'm
except
inspired.
make sure you pick up one of these CDs because the music is absolutely phenomenal. Thank you so much for this,
you.
and it's
It's
been
lovely
such
to
a
meet you.
pleasure. Absolutely, my
Yes.
pleasure. It's
Yeah.
so beautiful. If you would
Yes.
love to play us out, that would
Oh,
be so
sure,
great.
I can do that.
Well, it's been such an incredible day listening to this wonderful music and watching all of these amazing ballet performers do their amazing work. We hope you've enjoyed it. And how cool was that? You know, it was so nice to see how lucky those students are to have such beautiful music accompaniment by Gill Civil and such dedication as well, you know, from Linda Arkelian. Thank you so much, ladies. We're going to take a quick short break and we'll be right back.
Today's generation of young people spend the least amount of time outside of any generation in human history. We need to have children out, we need to have people out in order to see the world around that allows us to live. I think something like the Sea to Sky Trail is the epitome of what we need to get people back out into the real world, to see nature as it can be, and something that we are a part of and that we must fight to protect.
Welcome back. If you're joining us, you're watching The Ledge, and today we're talking ballet in the city, and we're just kind of wrapping things up here with Artistic Director of Ballet BC, Emily Molnar. Now, you guys have such great engagement, you know, with audiences. Now, your last season just finished, just a shy few months ago. Such an incredible season, another successful one, such incredible performances. My favorite, you know, the Nutcracker, which danced to Tchaikovsky. I love Tchaikovsky because, you know, I remember being in school and writing, you know, papers, you know, all night to classical ballet, particularly Tchaikovsky.
It's a beautiful score of music.
Indeed, I
Yeah.
describe it as, you know, an occasion that I have to rise to all the time, you know. So tell us about that last season and some of your favorite things about that last season.
Well, I think that every moment that we're in making a new work, or, I mean, there's so many levels to it, Lola. There's, you know, all of the guests that come in, our collaborators all over the world. There's watching those dancers every day look for new things and develop and rise to the occasion.
Indeed.
And then there's that response of our audience. So every piece comes with something really beautiful. I mean, for me, just recently, we just finished actually in Jacob's Pillow, which is in Massachusetts. It's one of the most international dance festivals in the world, and we had the opportunity to be the first Canadian company to open it,
Very cool.
83rd season, and we had, you know, these incredible audience members who must have been about 95, some of them, and they were at the end of the show up and clapping for us and loving it, and that is a beautiful moment. But it's they've all been really important moments. I think with every production we try to go more. We try to do more. I really enjoyed working on the Right program because I had a piece that was 40 minutes long that,
So cool.
and I got to work with Omera Bell, who's an incredible designer here in Vancouver. So there are many wonderful moments.
Indeed. And now you have your upcoming season, which is going to open just in a short few months itself, and that's going to mark your 30th season. It's been around for such a long time.
Yeah.
What can we expect to see for that upcoming season?
You can expect to see great dance, great choreography, and even a phenomenal group of dancers. We have a couple of new dancers, but we have, again, this beautiful group that has been kind of with us since for over the past 6 years. You're going to see works, for instance, by one of our local but very internationally known choreographers, Crystal Pite, a work that she did for Netherlands Dance Theatre. We're bringing, in some cases, new choreographers that our audiences have never seen, a Flemish-born choreographer by the name of Steen Sellis, who's going to actually be working with Corleone. So we're going to have 50 singers on stage with us to the text of Leonard Cohen's poetry.
Wow.
So that all happens in November.
going to be
And then our resident
fantastic.
choreographer, Caetano Soto, and then on and on. We have just lots of really exciting programming. We're doing a site-specific work with 2 British artists who have never done anything in dance. That's with the Contemporary Art Gallery. So, and we'll be touring also across North America and then hopefully also into Europe at the end of the year.
Well, we are going to be staying tuned and we are going to be looking forward to it. I cannot wait. Thank you so much for coming to
Thank
the
you,
show,
Lola.
Emily.
Such a pleasure.
It's been
Thank you.
Such a wonderful pleasure.
Thank you for what you do.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. If you would like to know more about Ballet BC and the upcoming season, please go to their website, balletbc.com. I'd like to thank all my guests, Gill, Linda Arkelian, and the wonderful Emily Molnar. And of course, you at home, thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comment about this one or another episode of ours, go to our website, www.theledgetvshow.com. Or you can tweet me at Lola Acala. And remember, guys, take care of one another, and we'll see you soon. For more on The Ledge, please visit our website for access to show resources and services. Click on the About button for more on how The Ledge was born. You can see my first ever broadcast production before Shah TV. And below, you can find some of my music as well. For our advice column, click on the Ask Lola button to send me questions and share problems that might be weighing you down. And during some of our episodes, I'll pick out 1 or 2 random questions to answer for you during our programming. And if you would like to catch up on some of our past shows, click on the Episodes button, and there you can watch all of our past shows. And if you just want to say hello and tell us how we're doing, we'd love to hear from you. Click on the Contact Us button, and away you go. Get in touch with us and say hello. Would you like to work on The Ledge? Scroll down to our careers section below. The Ledge is always looking for talented interns who want to work in an exciting environment. Check out the positions you want and send your resumes to interns@theledgetvshow.com. I look forward to hearing from you all real soon.
Know it. It's only a matter of time. It's right before you. So don't give up. No. Truly know that you gotta set you off. It all becomes so clear. It's then that you truly know. And what you know, it's only a matter of time.